Newman City Council Redevelopment Agency regular meeting of February 22nd to order, please. Please stand for the pledge. Ready to begin?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing. Councilman Martina.
Please bow your head. Dear Lord, we thank you for bringing us here tonight. We ask that you give this council the wisdom and the guidance to do the right things for the city of Newman. And this we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Bob. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Davis.
Present.
Hutchins.
Present.
Candia. Mayor Pro Tem Martina.
Present.
Mayor Kate.
Present. Thank you. Declaration of conflicts of interest. Seeing none, we'll move on to item 6, ceremonial matters. Seeing none, we'll move on to item 7, items from the public, non-agenda item. Any member of the public wish to address the council, now's the time to do it. We have a member of Senator Canella's staff present.
Well, thank you, Mayor and council members. My name is Chris Tyler. I'm Senator Canella's district director, and I wanted to stop by here this evening and introduce myself. I'll probably be one of the faces that you'll see most often, and I'll be back on a repeated basis to kind of keep you informed of what's going on in Sacramento. And I'll also be your point person if you have any concerns with state agencies, any way that we can help your city, then please let us know, because we're happy to do that. I wanted to just give a brief report. Senator Canella's been appointed to a number of important committees. The most significant is he's been asked to chair the Agricultural Committee. That obviously is a big deal for the Senate District 12. Ag is a $6 billion industry within District 12, and so having Senator Canella at the helm of that Senate committee as the chair will be significant. He's also going to be on the Committee for Natural Resources and Water, and so that committee deals principally with water supply and water supply management, and so that also is very significant for this area, given some of the problems that we face with water. He's also a member of a governmental organization and several select committees that I'll report back on next time. Let me just say something about the budget. Right now they're working very hard to kind of come up with, a compromise solution that combines, not only perhaps some extensions on some of the tax measures, but also combine some issues that deal with reform and some of the reforms that are important to get California moving again. So they're working really hard to try to craft a win-win solution up there, and I hope to have more to report on that in the coming weeks. They've got a constitutional deadline to meet, which is right around March 10th, in order to qualify any of the measures that the governor has proposed for the ballot. But Senator Canella is very, very concerned principally with the impact of the governor's proposal on local government and in a couple areas. One, redevelopment. He's a mayor. He didn't leave that seat long ago, and so he knows that redevelopment agencies are incredibly important to the economic vibrancy of a city such as Newman. He's also very concerned about the elimination of the enterprise zones. Those two things are very powerful to create opportunities and jobs for our region. He's also not. He's very wary of the governor's proposal on realignment, whereby a lot of the functions that are now carried out by the state are being pushed down to mainly the counties. And while the revenue is secure potentially for 5 years, there's no guarantees after 5 years, and so we're left holding these mandates, performing these services with no guaranteed revenue in the long run. So those are the issues that he's principally focused on and trying to work through, and they're obviously very complicated. But I'll have more to report back to you. And Mayor, I'll be very brief here because I know you've got a full agenda, but he is working on a couple pieces of legislation now as well that I'd like to just report briefly on. Part of the problem in this area particularly is on our energy costs, and they've been going up significantly as MID and others have had to respond to the renewables mandate. The state right now has a mandate that 33% of power generation, electronic power generation, come from renewable sources, wind, solar, and others. And obviously the cost of those renewables to an end user are much more significant than, say, the cost of hydroelectric, which we generated at Don Pedro. The cost of hydro is like 6 cents a kilowatt hour. The latest proposal that I've seen MID entertaining on a solar power project is like 25 cents an hour. Problem is that the governor's proposal or the mandates don't include hydro as a renewable. They don't allow the cleanest form of energy generation to be considered a renewable in meeting that mandate. And so Senator Canella's legislation is proposing to count hydroelectric as a renewable source of energy so that MID and TID and Merced Irrigation District and others can include that in their portfolio. And obviously that'll keep our rates much lower. He's also working on some areas of regulatory reform. Part of the problem in California in terms of putting people back to work is all the state bureaucracies that kind of get in the way of being able to do that. And so his legislation would require that any state agency that's imposing additional regulations conduct a cost-benefit analysis and an economic impact analysis so that it's known what those regulations are going to do to our businesses. And he's also looking at forms of CEQA reform. The problem with CEQA, and you're all familiar with CEQA, is it's often used as an extortion tool rather than a disclosure tool. And projects such as projects that would qualify for federal funding and stimulus funding are held up in the court system. And so Senator Canella would like to see 25 projects a year that would create significant job opportunities be exempted from frivolous lawsuits, and that would go on for 5 years. So it would create 125 potential job-creating opportunities that we can get shovel-ready sooner rather than later. So those are some of the pieces of legislation that he's working on. And as I said, I'll endeavor to be back as often as possible to kind of keep you informed, not only in the budget, but as his legislation pursues its way through the path up in the legislature. And I will, if we haven't already, I'll make sure that your staff has all of our staff contact information, because if you all have any issues, ideas for legislation, problem with Caltrans, problem with state agencies, we want to hear about it, and we want to be your go-to people to help solve those issues. So
Thank you, Tyler. Appreciate it. And thank Anthony. I know he's got his hands full, but I know he'll work hard and fight for us. So
he misses your mayor's meetings already. He told me.
And we miss him. Thanks. Okay, we'll move on to item 8, and before we do, welcome Doug tonight for joining us in Tom's absence. So, consent calendar, there's just a couple. Start with item A is waive all readings of ordinances and resolutions except by title. B is approval of the warrants. C is approval of the minutes of the February 8th, 2011 regular meeting. D is adopt resolution 2011 next in number, a resolution joining with the League of California Cities and declaring opposition to California's Governor Brown's fiscal year 2011-2012 state budget proposal to eliminate RDA and enterprise zones. E is adopt resolution number 2011 next in number, a resolution authorizing Ed Caton as mayor and Michael Holland as city clerk to record a notice of completion for the Orstenba flood control project soil borings. Excuse me. F is adopt resolution number 2011 next in number, a resolution authorizing Ed Caton as mayor and Michael Holland as city clerk to record a notice of completion for the 2010 sewer pump station SCADA additions project. G is adopt resolution 2011 next in number, resolution approving the environmentally preferable purchasing and practices policy. And H, adopt resolution number 2011 next in number, a resolution approving the automatic annual inflation adjustment for capital facility and impact fees for the period of March 1, 2011 through February 29, 2012. Whew. Okay. Council direction.
Mr. Mayor, could we pull E, please?
Item
Separate
E for separate
consideration.
action. Okay.
And also warrant number 38814.
38 what?
38814.
14. Okay, pulling warrant number 38814 for separate action, and item E of the consent calendar for separate action. Council direction on remaining items.
I make a motion that we approve the remaining items on the consent calendar.
Motion. Is there
Second that motion.
motion and a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. go to item, let's deal with the warrant number 38814. Separate action to be dealt with. You have a question on it, council member?
It's just in-sync systems, and that's...
Okay. Councilmember Hutchins has a conflict with that item, so separate action, please, by council.
I make a motion that we approve that item.
Okay.
I second that motion.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. And we'll go to item E. Again, Councilman Hutchins, question?
Just a question, and I noticed that Garner's not here tonight, maybe City Manager Hollinkin. Do we have any results on the borings, or just that they're completed? I mean, has
No. The soil borings are actually complete, and the analysis is complete, and the findings do support an issue that the Corps had with the placement of the berms. They were concerned that due to the soil types, the water might go seep underneath the proposed levee system and then have an impact on the canal system, which was the CCID main canal. And the soil boring results justify that. So the plan will be to move the berms, the levees, from the west side of the CCID canal to the east side, and then that concern will then be gone because the berm will then be downstream of the canals and it won't have a negative impact on it. So anyway, they took the results, they analyzed it, and they believe they have a solution to them. Now, those solutions go to what's called an F4A conference, and I'm sure Jim, Supervisor DeMartini loves to talk about this stuff. So I'll tell you what that is, but in essence, an F4 is when a federal agency sends out their work to their counterparts throughout the nation. They review it, and then they all conference to get their comments in there. So anyways, the results have come back. That did require a modification to the LPP, which is a locally preferred plan, and then that'll cause a relocation of where the berms were originally designed or proposed to be placed.
So I'm assuming that that's going to delay the process again.
Yeah, many of us are skeptical of whether this project will ever get out of the Corps feasibility study area. But we believe, and there's a schedule that's being produced right now that says that we are nearing the completion of the feasibility study. So I know Supervisor talks about this one a lot in his final report. I'm sure he could add some additional information after or during his agendized item.
I think that and the fact that the president said he wouldn't sign any bills for any earmarked projects. And this project falls under earmarked projects. Yeah. So I think I've almost come to the feeling that it won't be complete in my lifetime, but I don't know. It's really deflating. But Michael, can you, when you on your top, you talk about our meeting with Matt Machado and David Jones, please also update council on that. Yeah, it's the red tape and everything we've gone through with the Corps is just, it's beyond irritating. And I've got another call in to Congressman Cardoza, and I'm convinced there's not much he can do about it, other than maybe be a voice for us. But I was really slightly optimistic when the new colonel came and we met with him, and Don, you were here that day, and he really sounded like he was going to
Help push it.
Yeah, but I guess it's above his pay grade.
Yeah. Well, the only other question that I had, Mr. Mayor, was in the fact that, of course, we used general fund
Yes, we
monies, right,
did. Yes, we did.
to complete the borings.
That's
And
correct.
the thing about that is, the Corps in their infinite wisdom, had pretty much stated, this had to be done or else the project was going to come to a screeching halt. And we felt that, we were moving along steady, that we couldn't let that little hump in the road stop us. It was imperative, then became not so imperative. it's something I guess that was going to have to be done eventually, but I'm almost apologetic that we spent the money at the time we did, because I'm not so sure those borings became as critical and crucial at that time as they said they were.
Well, it did help identify a design flaw.
Exactly.
So I think the borings did serve a purpose.
They definitely served a purpose, but
And
I'm
think-
talking about just the critical impact that the Corps really placed on those needing to be done so soon. I mean, it had to be done, type of thing.
Realistically, the finish line is in sight. It's just a matter of whether we can get there, which is very frustrating. I mean, it's a little bit easier to just ditch a project when you can't see the finish line. But right now, I mean, it's literally almost within our reach. So probably at our next meeting, I'll see if I can't get the schedule from our County Public Works Director, Matt Machado, and then share that with you in terms of what it is. And again, Supervisor DeMartini might have additional information on what the current schedule is. Right now, I think the feasibility study is supposed to go out for public review this summer, which means, it could end up having an action take place late fall of this year, which then means, once that gets approved, you really are through the feasibility study. So realistically, we should be within 9 to 12 months from reaching the finish line. Whether we get there or not is a completely different question.
Yeah, and Michael and I met with Matt Machado and David Jones last week, and he can give an update on his results of that meeting, which I thought was a good meeting, and where they believed we are in this process and where we need to go next, and we need to start thinking in terms of the financial aspect of it and how we're going to achieve those goals in terms of creating or increasing our flood district, et cetera, et cetera. So Michael can touch on that in his report.
Okay, with that, I'd move to adopt resolution number 2011, next number, a resolution authorizing Ed Caton as mayor and Michael Holland as city clerk to record a notice of completion for the Oristemba Flood Control Project soil borings.
Motion, is there a second?
I second that motion.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you, Don. Item 9, public hearing. A, second reading, adoption of ordinance number 2011, next in number, ordinance amending Title 9, Police Regulations, Chapter 9.02, Animal Control, adding Section 9.2.148, litter permit, requiring that individuals must purchase a litter permit from the City of Newman in order to breed dogs and cats within the city limits, and authorizing staff to prepare and publish a summary of said ordinance. Chief.
Evening, Mayor, council members. Tonight I would bring back before you the litter permit ordinance. This ordinance was brought before you on February 8th council meeting, and since that time and at that meeting we have received no public comments. Analysis, based on the home visits and telephone calls and signs posted around town, we've noticed a need for the ordinance that would hold breeders responsible to protect animals. The key points to this ordinance are: the permit is good for 1 year and 1 litter, that all animals must receive their first immunization against common diseases, and the permit must be prominently displayed on all advertisements if they're trying to sell the animals. And the breeders must maintain the records for a period of 3 years on every animal they sell. And all above holds the breeders responsible to help protect the animals and their health. Adoption of this ordinance should help control the amount of animals we're taking in at the animal shelter every year. The ordinance will document local breeders within the city of Newman and will act as a deterrent to those who breed their animals more than once in a year. Just a little background on this. In the past week, we have picked up 6 puppies from 2 different litters that we brought in that have been left on the side of the road that we've taken into our shelter. The fiscal impact should be positive, however, we cannot determine what it'll be at this time. So in conclusion, you can adopt this ordinance and recover the costs associated with individuals breeding the animals within the city limits and protect the animals involved, or reject the ordinance and not seek cost recovery associated with individuals breeding animals within the city limits. We recommend number 1.
Any questions for the chief before I open the public hearing? Okay, with that, I'll open the public hearing regarding this item, and any member of the public wish to address the council? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing, bring it back to council for direction.
I shall move second reading and adoption of ordinance number 2011, next number, an ordinance amending Title IX Police Regulations, Chapter 9.02 Animal Control, adding Section 9.02148 litter permit requiring that individuals must purchase litter permits from the city of Newman in order to breed dogs and cats within the city limits, and authorizing staff to prepare and publish a summary of said ordinance.
I'll second that.
And a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Chief. Okay, go to item 10, regular business. A is adopt resolution number 2011, next to number, a resolution approving the submittal of applications to Cal Recycle for all grants for which the city of Newman is eligible, and authorizing city manager or the public works director to execute all grants documents, including but not limited to applications, agreements, amendments, and requests for payment necessary to secure grant funds and implement the approved grant project.
I'll take that
Michael.
from Mayor. Thank you. Tonight we're submitting a request to you to allow staff to apply for a grant. The grant would be used to purchase recycled tires, and what they've done, and I went ahead and showed you this ahead of time. Recycled tires are collected throughout communities. We do that here when we do our spring and fall cleanups. People are allowed an amnesty program where they can just come and drop off their tires free of charge. The company that picks up those tires, what they do is they bring them into their facility, chop them up real fine, remove the wires, color the tire, the rubber, and then they resell it. In this particular case, what we're asking to do is, through this grant application, is submit an application for $122,000 to purchase recycled tires, and then put those in the landing zones of our playground equipment. Currently, in most of our areas, or in some that don't have the new foam or rubberized soft cushion, you have bark, such as Pioneer Park. There's bark beneath the playground equipment. That requires that we keep constant a level of 12 to 18 inches of wood chip bark in there. If we were to use this rubberized recycled tires, you only need to put 6 inches in because it's a lot softer and more forgiving. Also, we're looking at getting and using the recycled tires, and again, they're colored, and put those in our landscape strips. And a good example would be along Driscoll between Eucalyptus and Hills Ferry there. There's some landscape strips there. You put the bark down, you put it in 3 or 4 inches thick, and it's weed control. And it keeps the weeds out. So, and it's colorized, and you can pick a color that closely resembles a natural earth tone. So it doesn't look like, oh, what did they put in there? Another area that we would be putting it in is in our new plaza. In the landscaped areas there, put that, instead of putting wood chip bark in there, we would put these rubberized recycled tires in there. And again, it's better for weed control. And then also when our public works crews come through and blow and to get out the dirt and the leaves and all that out of there, it won't be blowing the wood chips everywhere, because these are a little bit heavier and they hold their location better, and they tie in together. We did put out a map on your desk. All the highlighted areas would be the areas that we would be placing recycled tires. As you can see, there's a number of parks there. The preschool would be one of the locations that we would be looking at. Hill Park, Rose Park. We'd be putting some out on Sherman Parkway, so there's a number of different areas that we would be putting it on there. So with that, we are asking that you allow staff to submit our application. And there is no fiscal impact to the city. This is a 100% grant, so the city does not have to put up any matching funds. And again, we're looking at putting in a request for $122,545 to Cal Recycle for a grant application. And I can answer any questions that you may have at this time.
Any questions of Michael at this time?
And Michael, do we know of any other cities that have used this type of material?
I don't, because I didn't put the grant application together. Our Public Works did. The company that we're going to be using is out of Belico, which is, nearby here. So I'm assuming that then they help with the grant applications. So, but right off the top of my head, I apologize, I do not, because
I just wondered if anyone, and how successful they felt that they've been with this
Right.
product.
Belico has been successful in helping cities get grants, but again, I don't know right offhand.
Okay.
The reason we brought this in tonight, I wanted each one of you to be able to go ahead and see what we were actually purchasing. That's why we have this.
I have no other questions.
Okay, council direction?
I move that we adopt resolution number 2011, next number. A resolution approving the submittal of applications to Cal Recycle for all grants for which the city of Newman is eligible, and authorizing the city manager or the director of public works to execute all grant documents, including but not limited to applications, agreements, amendments, and requests for payment necessary to secure grant funds and implement the approved grant project.
The motion, is there a second?
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you, Michael. Item B is adopt resolution 2000 number next in number authorizing the city manager to execute an agreement for sale of commercial real estate for the use as future Sherman Parkway right-of-way.
Thank you, Mayor. Tonight, what you have before you is an agreement that was crafted by our city attorney. And what it does is it authorizes the city manager to execute an agreement for the purchase of some land, which would be used as future Sherman Parkway right-of-way. I've placed in your package a copy of the assessor's page that shows that this approximately 2 acres of land that's in a triangular shape is located on the bend of Sherman Parkway between Southington Way and Cinnamon-Teal Way. Cinnamon-Teal Road, Cinnamon-Teal Lane, on the south side. It's approximately 2 acres. It's a piece of land that we would ultimately need for future right-of-way. There'll be a little bit additional land off there that would also be able to either sell back to a private property owner, to a farmer, or to the developer at a later point in time. With that, again, our city attorney has drafted this agreement. The agreement is with the Newman Youth Sports Alliance, a local nonprofit group who has secured this property. Right now, the purchase price is set at $30,000. As part of this application, we're asking that you allow us to use an independent third party to verify the cost. This $30,000 price has come about through the use of the county assessor's valuation, and that's what we've used as a starting point, and then we'll go back and get a independent third party to do that. Our land use attorney, Abbott and Kinderman, says that they could probably do that in 2 to 3 hours worth of work. To be less than $750 to go ahead and verify that. We chose to probably go that route as opposed to getting a full-fledged appraisal, which could cost a little bit more, and probably $3,000 to $5,000, which it's starting to get up in 10 to 15% of the total cost of the project. So we believe we can do that. After showing the original request to our city attorney and our public works director, they both verified and concurred that this is future right-of-way that we do need. In full disclosure, it's not something that is in eminent use. We probably won't be using that probably for a minimum of 5 to 10 years, if that soon. But again, anytime you have a chance to acquire future right-of-way, I think it's a good opportunity to go ahead and do that now instead of being held hostage later. So, with that, this project has been identified in our capital facility fee program. Thereby, we are collecting impact fees to pay for future right-of-way acquisition, and this road is part of that program. So we are collecting fees from developers and development that occurs within our community to pay for these types of purchases. So we currently have approximately $2 million in the end of the bank as well to be estimated this year. And so we're estimating we'd like at this point in time to go ahead and authorize us to execute that contract, authorize us to move forward with an independent third party for not to exceed price of $750, and then to go ahead and start with the escrow. So. with that, I can answer any questions that you may have.
Any questions of Michael? Council direction.
I move that we adopt resolution number 2011, next number, authorizing the city manager to execute an agreement for sale of commercial real estate for use as a future Sherman Parkway right-of-way.
I second that motion.
Been a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, we're going to go back to item 7. There's a member of public who wished to speak to address the council, but missed her opportunity. And Stephanie, you're going to interpret?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Please forgive me, my Spanish isn't the greatest.
It's better than mine.
I'm speaking on behalf of Magdalena Gonzalez. Based on my discussion with her a moment ago, she just wanted to state that she feels that, it would really benefit the city to encourage commercial development as opposed to residential, so that way there'd be more jobs in the city, and that way it would fill a lot of the vacant homes. She says we have quite a number of them, and if we had more jobs, potentially those homes could be filled. So she did want to express that. Also, I think what she's telling me is that I think she participates in the senior exercise classes over at the McConnell building, and I think she's wishing that they had maybe some equipment for the seniors instead of just maybe the bands. I think she's talking about maybe fitness equipment for the older folks to exercise.
Porque nos vamos a dejar que Pérez vaya subiendo y nosotros abajo. Tenemos que poner en Pérez van a poner un Super One también, porque aquí no vamos a que salir para arriba, porque la unión es la vuestra. Si todo el pueblo nos ponemos a ayudar con un granito de arena, nos subimos para arriba. Aquí este pueblo va a salir adelante.
She's saying, I think if the community all kind of joins in and tries to provide these kind of services, that would bring things up. I think that's what she told me. Yo hablo poquito español.
You didn't agree to give away the farm, did you?
No, promise.
Okay. Well, thank her for coming, and obviously it's nothing that we can't address it, but and I'm not sure that we're in a position to provide any equipment that I know of. But,
Gracias por llevarlos. No puedo. How do you say decision?
decision.
I don't know how to say it. I don't know how to say decision.
Yeah.
I'll talk to you later.
Okay.
Yo puedo hablar más.
Okay.
And let her know. I think we all agree that we'd love to have more industry and have more commercial in town, and that our staff constantly works towards trying to secure more businesses in town. So
I will do that with as much Espanol that I can.
okay, thank you. Okay, we'll move to item 11. Items from District 5, Supervisor Jim DeMartini.
Good evening, Mayor Caton, council members. I have just a few things tonight. So I always talk a little bit about the Healthcare Task Force, and that meeting is coming up on March 10th. It will be in Patterson at the Del Puerto Healthcare District boardroom. We were working on the agenda and everything today, and we expect to have the packet sent out on Friday. So we're not complete with it yet, and because there's some things going on. As I think I've told you before, the task force has decided to do the Biggest Loser contest again this year. This will be our third run at it, and it will be right here in Newman at the West Side Theater on August 18th. And I believe this year, tentatively, we're going to have the way out in Gustine rather than Patterson, as we're going to move it around. The West Side Theater is a really nice place to kick it off. So we'd like to come back again. I think it's already secured. Councilman Martin has already got that for us.
With the help of some people.
We appreciate that and how quickly you did it, too.
He has a lot of clout in this town.
Yeah. That's what I've heard, yeah. So. Now, one of the things that's still a little bit up in the air is I have a meeting with Emmanuel Hospital tomorrow morning with Supervisor Chiesa, and Emmanuel Hospital is planning on putting in some healthcare clinics on the west side. And where they're at on the west side, I'm really not sure, but I would tend to think it would be down more this way because the Del Puerto Healthcare District has clinics of their own. And so I don't know anything more about it than that, but I have a 10 o'clock meeting with them tomorrow, and I'll get the details. So anything that would improve healthcare on the west side, to add doctors, specialists, or anything is a big plus for this area. So now at the healthcare task force meeting, we'll have a full report on what the intentions are of Emmanuel Hospital. And I can remember when Emmanuel Hospital first joined the task force, they said their long-term plans were to move into this area. And apparently what indications that I've got from them now is now they're going to start moving into this area. And as you know, there's a shortage of doctors and specialists in particular. And any kind of primary care that would be in this area would be to their benefit. That would stop a lot of emergency visits that are really unnecessary. They're preventable. They may be necessary at the time, but they'd be preventable if health care was more available here. So I don't know what exactly they're going to plan. Certainly anything that's urgent care that's open a little bit later at night would certainly be the direction that we'd hope they'd go. I'll let you know more next month. I did intend to talk about the Oristania Creek Flood Control Program. I did see that on your agenda. I didn't talk to Public Works Department today, but I have talked to him. And of course, we're still in the feasibility stage of this thing. And, after you get through the feasibility, if you live long enough, then you go into the design and then the construction, but you really have to have a long life to get into construction. Stanislaus County has spent $3 million on this project already, and we have studied weeds, insects, frogs, trees, hydrology. It's been a career job for consultants and engineers, and we're moving forward, but we take 2 steps forward and 1 step backward, and this has been going on for years. And our public works director is irritated by it, and it's the lack of progress. Probably what we should do is put together another meeting of the stakeholders here in Newman. We haven't had one in quite a while, and go over where we're at with this. As mayors, you've been to several of these. And we bring in the Nature Conservatory, the Corps of Engineers, Water Resources Board, the small flood control district that we have, and just go over where we're at. Probably about time to do that again. One of the things that even after all this feasibility and design and everything, before we ever get into construction, we're going to have to form a flood control district, which is, I think, going to be a difficult thing, especially in a recession. Whereas this may take so long to get on the drawing board that we might have a boom time by then, but that a flood control district is essential to help pay for the local match of this project. I'm just going to keep that in mind, because that's another bridge we have to cross eventually. But when I saw that on your agenda, I thought, I wrote it down. I said I better say something about it, because this project has been dragging on for years and years. Thursday morning is my monthly meeting with the mayors, with Mayor Caton and Mayor Molina. This will be the first time that Mayor Molina will join us there, as he's the new mayor of Patterson. So we try to get together every month on the fourth Thursday morning of each month and go over any issues that are of concern to us. And the one thing I want to remind you again, the West Park project is still scheduled for a board hearing on March 8th. That hasn't changed. It hasn't been pulled back, so it's still on. Not that it won't wind up being a week later, but it's still on our schedule as virtually the only item that we're going to talk about that day. Board meeting starts at 9 o'clock in the morning, board chambers in Modesto. Any member of the public who's got a concern about this project, about its impacts and implications for the area, is urged to come to the board meeting and tell us what you think. Okay, and that's all I have tonight.
Thank you, Jim. Any questions?
No question.
Thanks, and thank you, Jim. Items from staff and city manager.
Thank you, Mayor. finance department's got a presentation tonight.
I
They're
can
just-
tell.
They're just itching to get up there. And all preliminary indications say it is riveting.
Wow. Wow.
Just to let our residents know, the city of Newman continues to offer free computer courses. Those will be at the McConnell Center. For a schedule of those courses, you can go to our website, www.cityofnewman.com, and those classes are offered in both English and Spanish, and they're free of charge. Really, the fair market value of those is approximately about $150 to $200 if you had to pay a private company to take those classes. So they really are good. And we're actually thinking about sending maybe one or two of our employees down there to get some training in Excel, which is a spreadsheet program. Tonight we originally had the West Side Theater scheduled to come in and do a presentation, and that presentation has been moved to March 8th. So I know the director of the West Side Theater Foundation will come down and let you know how calendar year 2010 went for them, and give you a little financial report as well as a summary of their events. Last Monday, I was fortunate enough through our consultant, California Consulting, to go and attend a meeting at the governor's office with his staff, and it was joined by approximately 15 other valley towns, both small and large. The larger ones, Mayor Ridenauer was there. I know the mayor from Tracy was there, but also Fowler, McFarland. So there was also some smaller town, Lemon Grove, some smaller towns there as well. So we presented our case to them, and a lot of it, we were all valley towns, and with the exception of probably Modesto and Tracy, most of us are experiencing unemployment rates of in excess of 20%, poverty rates in excess of 35-40%. So we're trying to convey the point that redevelopment and enterprise zones are very valuable to valley towns. They have been abused by some of the larger cities. It's kind of hard to envision Beverly Hills needing a redevelopment agency, but they have one. So to penalize us for the misappropriations of some of these agencies is definitely going to be very hard for our community. We've been kicking it around here. I don't know if we're going to get it done. The idea was floated that without any disrespect to our neighbors, but having our videographer go through the town of Gustine with a video camera twice, maybe at lunch and maybe at dinner, and showing what their downtown's like versus going through our downtown at lunch and at dinner and showing these communities are 4 miles apart. The demographics are very similar in nature. The economies are similar in nature in terms of they're both agrarian. But yet one community has a redevelopment agency and the other one just now started a redevelopment agency. And can you tell the difference? And I think it's shocking if you really think about it from that perspective. Gustine never started theirs or just recently started theirs and haven't had the benefit of it like the city of Newman has. So maybe trying to run a 2 to 3 minute video and then ship that up to the governors. But after we started thinking about it, what I learned from this meeting is they don't care. It's not about whether redevelopment agencies are effective or not. They have what they want to do, and they want to eliminate redevelopment agencies and grab that money, and that's just the way it is. And nothing's really going to stop them unless people in the cities rise up and say no. And we'll fight it. California Redevelopment, CRA, will file a lawsuit. We believe it's unconstitutional. We believe our revenues are protected. We believe Proposition 22, which had the headline in it and was written and includes redevelopment, and that headline was written by now governor when he was the attorney general. So we believe that we will be protected, but it's not going to be without a fight. And the other point we were trying to make is there's unintended consequences of actions, and there will be we believe there'll be severe social consequences to especially valley towns if redevelopment agencies and enterprise zones are taken away. We lose a tool out of our belt, if you will, to try to attract economic development, to try to make our towns better and qualify. We were talking to them about how much affordable housing we've provided in our community. I mean, there's 68 units going up right now. You got Rolling Hills, you got West Side Apartments. These are all affordable housing projects that have redevelopment funds in them. We've put in water lines, sewer lines, sidewalks, improve the quality of life for our residents, and that's what the smaller towns do with redevelopment. We kind of control our admin costs. Our admin costs are below 20% of our total funding. So that means 80 cents on every dollar that's taken in goes directly to projects in our area. So we're hoping that the governor understands that what he really believes in terms of what his take will be for money is not accurate. I think there's a lot more money tied up with bonds and the other things. San Diego just took some actions right now to protect some of their money, and a lot of the Southern California communities are doing that. So to go through all of that and probably lose a fight in the end through the lawsuits. The thing with the enterprise zone as well, it's a classic bait and switch. You entice these companies to come here with the understanding that they're going to be able to accrue tax credits by hiring people and doing certain things by locating in the enterprise zone, and once they get there, you take that away from them. That could be construed as bait and switch, and I'm sure some of those will not be happy with the situation. They build that into their financials. I mean, where our company locates, and there's a lot of work that goes into it. They don't just arbitrarily just pick a spot and say, okay, we're going to go here. There's a lot of number crunching that goes along with that. So, again, we hope that the state, understands that eliminating enterprise zones and redevelopment agencies is not in the best interest of California nor Californians, and it will not help us on the road to recovery in terms of economic recovery. So it'll actually put us backwards, I believe. I wanted to remind. That was something else I saw. Our phone system in the PD has been failing, so we're looking at another phone system. That was something that went through the last budget, so we just had a presentation. There's a lot of different technologies out there that could help us, so we'll report back to you in terms of when we start identifying some areas there. I am happy and pleased to announce that for those of you that know, we partnered with the Golden State Warriors this year for our Newman Recreational Basketball League, and we got reduced costs in terms of we were able to save ourselves some amount of money because it got reduced costs on jerseys and all. Well, our 8 and 9-year-old girls have been selected to go play a basketball game before a Golden State Warriors game starts. And it'll be a lot before, but they get to go play a basketball game on the Golden State Warrior floor against Marin. So they're excited about that, and then they actually get to go into the hallway and take picture with the players and shake their hand and stuff, and get to stick around for the game and stuff like that. So it's a lot of those kudos go to Stephanie House, our rec coordinator, who put this whole thing together. And so she lobbied hard for our girls to get over there, and I think this is a once in a lifetime experience for some of our residents here. 8 9-year-old girls are going to go play in Oracle Center. It holds 17,000 people. Now there won't be anybody there at the time other than their parents, but you're still playing on the same floor. You're still playing on the same floor as the Warriors play on, so it'll still be exciting. It'll still be exciting. And then lastly, again, a big kudos to our rec coordinator, Miss House. The Newman Recreation Department will be sponsoring a speaker series in March. And basically we're trying to do just try to provide some more cultural events to our residents. These are all going to be free of charge, held at our theater. On March 9th at 7 p.m., Royal Robbins will be coming and speaking. Royal Robbins is an accomplished rock climber, kayaker, adventurer, and he's an author of a number of books. On Wednesday, March 23rd at 7 p.m., Pat Morelli will be here. Pat is an NFL referee. Did some NFL playoff games this year. So he'll be here. He's also the principal of St. Mary's High School in Stockton, president of the SJAA, which is the San Joaquin Athletic Association, and the Tri-City Athletic League. So he'll be here on March 23rd at 7 p.m. And then lastly, Lynn Dickerson, who's CEO of the Gallo Center for the Arts, and she'll come in and talk about her journey from a tiny East Texas town through corporate America to a CEO of the Gallo Center. So these are some pretty good names in here, so I hope we get some good community support and come out. Again, these are all events that are free to the public, so I encourage you to come down, tell your friends, tell everybody about it. We're trying to pass out these flyers and put it on our website and hopefully get a good showing for the city of Newman. With that, that concludes my report tonight. Oh wait, Mayor wanted me to talk about our meeting with the county staff. Sorry about that. So the mayor and I sat down with the Public Works Director, Matt Machado, and the Government Affairs liaison, which is David Jones. And you know, there's a frustration, I think, on all the local stakeholders' position that they keep telling us, oh, you only got one more hurdle to clear, and then once you clear that hurdle, they stick 3 more out there for you to do. And that's some of the frustration we heard from our council members tonight, including Councilman Hutchins, who was like, you know, did we really get our value out of the money we just spent? I mean, we just spent $55,000 out of our reserve for it. And that's a tough question to answer, and it's one of those ones where, you know, you've been down this journey, we've been chasing this flag for 10 years, Mayor, or more, and it's very frustrating. 16. But we need to start probably planning to and hope that we will get past this. And again, this has been a project that's been earmarked all the way through, so if earmarks go away, do we get the last little bit of funding that we need to get it done? Do they come back to the well and ask us for more money? Although we have some credits in terms of local money spent, they should carry us through the rest of this. We will be getting you a schedule in terms of what the FA or F4A. I'll talk to you a little bit about that. That's when different different parts of the country come and review our document. The release of the feasibility study and hopefully future action on that. So it's very frustrating. But the next step will be is we need to start a financing plan to, even if we get through feasibility, you're probably looking $4 to $5 million for design, and then another $42 million to build this project. And where does that money come from? The government only pays 60% of the most economical plan, which isn't the local preferred plan, and so you know, as of that, I think they're gonna put in maybe 20 or 25 million, so there's gonna be 15 million on the hook for everybody else. So there needs to be a discussion between the city and the county and the flood control district about who's going to take the lead from here on out. The county is now saying that, you know, they've expended a lot of resources, time, money on this project in excess of $3 million. You know, they would like to see somebody else step forward and start putting some money up. You know, the city's position is you know, we got a limited number of employees, limited funds. It's very, very difficult for us to take the lead. The fact of the matter that the creek never actually comes through our boundaries is another issue that we have, and so that's what we brought up to the county. You know, they have an obligation to protect our residents as well. You know, but then there is a flood control district, Horace Nimmer Creek Flood Control District. How do they play a part in it? Do we expand that boundary? So there's a lot of conversation that needs to take place. So hopefully the finish line is in sight. Let's just hope we got enough gas to get there, because I hate to run out of gas and you're right there, and that Army Corps of Engineers, like a Sherman tank, there's no way the mayor and I can get behind it and push it past the finish line. And even if Jim jumped in, it was still going to be a little bit short of that finish line. So anyway, did I leave anything out, Mayor?
Yeah.
Did I leave anything out?
Oh, no. I'm sorry. No, actually, no, you didn't. And I think, you know, given the frustration level that the county folks have, you know, we're equally as frustrated. But the whole idea, and Michael made a great point, and I think Matt and David agree, is Horace Nimmer Creek does not run through our city. It's in the county, and the result of the Horace Nimmer Creek has created problems for us as a city and we're trying to work with everybody, the county, state, the feds, to try to pull this off. But this seems like it's roadblock after roadblock. But and I know the county has dumped a lot of money into it, but obviously we don't feel that we as a city should be the lead agency in this project. We're willing to help and do what we can, but so I think that's why we need to. And Matt's supposed to be setting up a meeting with the flood control district people so we can start talking about how we can expand the district and how I know they have levied a higher tax per acre, I think, just recently to the flood control people, and so they realize that they're going to start generating some money. I don't think they have $4 or $5 million laying around, but neither do we. So, but we'll continue to trudge forward, and like I said, I do have a call in to Dennis, and I don't know for what other than just a bit more frustration to him that the government's got to do something to help us, and hopefully he could kick the Corps in the rear, but it's been pretty futile for the last few years. So anyway, so it was a good meeting, and we are going to try to set up a meeting with flood control people and keep those talks going. And so Jim, Matt will keep you informed and when we have that meeting. So okay, thank you, Michael. Lou, run on up there. Hey, Tyler, just real quick here, I'll give you that so you have that for your file. Thanks for coming out. Appreciate it.
Oh, I think that might be the old presentation.
You know, it's George's birthday today. You know that, don't you?
Yeah, and I figured since he was on the $1 bill, being the finance department, it goes pretty good. Good evening, Mayor and Council members. Tonight we're doing a brief review of the finance department's activities for 2010. Let's take a quick look at some stats here. Population of the city is just over 10,000, and we run about 3,000 utility accounts. That has been growing over the last 18 months. I think I mentioned last time that we were at, I think we increased by a little over 100 accounts. Our finance department staff, we have 4 individuals, 3 of which do the majority of the day-to-day processing. We have Alicia, who's been here for 4 years and 10 months. Becky's been here for 5 years. And Emily's been here over 18 years. We're dedicated employees, and they enjoy their job and they work hard for the city. We do get busy in our office from time to time. Over a 4-day period last week, we had 397 walk-in customers and 204 phone calls in 4 days. That's not like that every day, but usually we have these fluctuations during the time of the month where we get utility bills that go out, people want to come in and make payments, or we get right at the end of the shut-off period and we get a group of people that want to come in and get them taken care of. As a matter of fact, this morning we had a line out the front door just before 8 o'clock. They were ready to come in and start taking activities. Some finance statistics. We process revenues, monies that come in, and expenditures for 27 different funds. They all have varying revenue streams and expenditure regulations and requirements. We have to make sure that we get money that comes in, it goes into the correct fund every time. We're kind of like the production line at some businesses where it's the same thing that happens every day, every month, every year, and we just got to make sure we get it right every time. We have 5 bank accounts. Over 36,000 utility bills were processed. 3,600 late notices were processed. 900 utility starts and 850 stops. 588 yard sale permits last year. 30 of which were from November to December. I don't know who was out selling in the freezing cold, but it must have been worthwhile. We had 124 park rentals, 72 memorial building rentals, 715 iWork reports, 123 business licenses, 1,800 account payable checks were processed, and close to 3,000 invoices had to be keyed in. 422 account receivable invoices were processed, 980 payroll checks, and with the advent of Springbrook coming in, the software has the ability to link information from different types of receivables. So from utility billing, business licenses, and any other types of receivables through an APN number. Our current software doesn't have those APN numbers keyed into them, and they have to be keyed in order for us to go to Springbrook. So I approached Corbin Willits, who has our current software, to take a a list from the county that has our addresses and APN numbers and take our list from Corbin Willits and see if they can get a match by address and be able to upload the APN numbers. Well, it turns out that it would cost us a little over $1,000 and they wouldn't guarantee a 50% match. So the remainder would have to be hand keyed in. So I approached the ladies in our staff and I said, what do you think about this? And they said, give it to us, let us key them in. So over a 2-week process, with those 3 ladies plus there's some ladies that work with some outside agencies that are coming to do work with us, they were able to key in those 3,000 APN numbers so that when we go to Springbrook, we'll have it all set up. We also have numerous reports that we do to outside agencies. It's well over 30. And we've also received the highest marks possible from our auditors. Our goals for 2011, number 1 is to migrate our finances to Springbrook software. This has already started. We've already sent out our data to them for our utility billing. And once that completes, we've got it all scheduled out for the remainder of this fiscal year to get that done. After that, we're going to be looking at the online bill pay and account access. So people who are traveling a lot to go to business and they don't have time to come into the office, they can actually come home after hours and make their payments online, view their account status, view their water usage history. We're also exporting 3 years of meter data for each meter and 3 years of account billing and payment history. So they'll be able to get on the website and that data, they'll be able to look at least 3 years back. One of the other goals we have is to find lower interest rates on our current outstanding debt. One of the items we're currently looking at is our wastewater treatment facility. We have a bond that's outstanding where the interest rate is going to be ranging from 4.875 to 5.25 over the next 7 years. We have an offer on that currently to refund that at a lower rate, and we're going to be presenting that next week. And the other is to improve our investment returns. A while back we had got the approval to go with Chandler Asset Management, which is part of the step of us to improve our returns. We're hoping that's going to turn out to be a good activity for us. I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions of Lou?
Looks good.
All right.
Looks good.
Thanks, Lou.
Thank you.
Good report. Thank you. Stephanie?
Good evening, Mayor and council members. This evening, I'm also presenting the Community Development Department's annual review. Generally speaking, the department oversees the Planning Commission, the Architectural Review Committee. We amended the first-time home buyer program last year, and we are responsible for a number of surveys and reports to outside agencies. Additionally, the department does continue to have public outreach. I think we noticed over 300 people last year, and 158 building permits were issued. That's everything from new construction to remodeling and just random additions and such. The department is also in charge of GIS, which is Geographical Information Systems. It's really great software that is multiple layers of information in a map format, which is really useful for project research and such. Last year, the department prepared 14 maps and distribution lists, including for Planning Commission and Council reports, department assistance, grant research, etc. We updated the city zoning map. We'd like to keep that current. I'm sorry. Oh.
The map that you gave out tonight.
Oh, yeah, I made that.
That's a good job.
I was confused. I'm like, huh? We updated the zoning map. We also prepared the draft rezoning map. That'll be coming before council in the next month or so, and prepared a FEMA flood map. So that way we have a little bit better detail. The FEMA maps are kind of funny where you can enter your address on the FEMA website and it'll show like a field. So we did that so you can actually see where your parcel lies. The department also oversees a number of grants for the city. For last year, if you include fiscal years 9, 10, and 10, 11 for CDBG, because those go by fiscal year, the department managed a total of over $3 million in grant funds, including CDBG, EECBG, Home, NSP, the per capita program, and state grants. Especially this last year, just some highlights. We had committed an additional $50,000 to the Newman Family Apartments project that the council approved, and more currently the Sherman Ranch Affordable Housing Project is pending. 2010, the department completed a number of projects, including compliance monitoring for home projects that were previously funded, CDBG agreements and plans, We created the residential resale inspection program, updated the capital facilities fee program, which is currently a draft. The housing element was certified, and we successfully completed and closed out the Roberti Zeberg Harris grant, which is responsible for the Hill Park project. The department's also in charge of environmentals for the city. Last year, there were 6 exemptions on file. This is in addition to 3 initial studies, 7 notices of exemption, and 1 notice of determination, in addition to NEPA, which is the federal version of environmentals, with 1 notice of finding of no significant impact recorded. 2010 goals, we're happy to say that the majority of them were completed. The citywide rezoning was delayed due to the fact that we received notice of our housing element being certified later than we expected, so that is currently in process. We did continue to apply for grants for city projects. We applied for a Prop 84 grant for the Aquatic Center. We applied for an urban greening grant for downtown, a stewardship grant for a roller rink, an assistance of firefighters grant through FEMA, and a sustainable communities grant through the county. Establish garbage enclosure standards. That is currently with the engineer. Most of the work has been done on that, so we're hoping to get a final standard for distribution. Transition the department into paperless document storage. Everything that does not require a hard copy is scanned and digitally recorded, so we have reduced our need for paper. The council did approve the per capita project, and that's where those projects were identified, so we finished that. And the review of detached accessory building standards and regulations. Staff reviewed that, and we have found that there are some amendments that need to be made, so that'll be coming to the council this year. That leads us to 2011 goals, first of which, finalize the citywide rezoning in conformance with the general plan, continue to apply for grants, formalize the garbage enclosure standards, amend the code regarding accessory buildings, begin the development of a non-motorized transportation plan. We are waiting on the funding to actually become available from the state. The county did apply for the Sustainable Communities Grant and was awarded. However, my understanding is the state hasn't given the money to the county yet, so we can't spend it yet. And develop a program to digitize and archive large documents such as maps and plans. This would require the use of a large scanner, so we're hoping to develop some kind of a program that we can maybe partner with another city that has that equipment, and we can send maybe an intern or someone over there once a month or whenever is possible to get these documents archived, because it's a lot easier to pull it up on a computer than to climb into an attic or a basement to try to find an old roll from 20 years ago. Finally, we'd like to establish a policy that requires all engineered and drafted submittals, such as plans, to be submitted digitally, so that way we won't have to scan future rolls of documents. Some projects from last year include the first phase of the PQRST project, which is CDBG funded. This is the curb gutter sidewalk around the future aquatic center site. As you can see here, that's the before picture, and that's the after. It's a lot cleaner. Pioneer Park Phase 3, which was the curb gutter sidewalk and landscaping around the perimeter. The home project that's ongoing is the Newman Family Apartments. Got a rendering there of what it should look like. Color palette's different, but you get the idea. The first-time homebuyer program and NSP purchases. Per capita project, which was a really big project last year, which involves the Barrington Park rehabilitation project, which was new surfacing, new playground, new swings, more swings than it had before, a shade structure, and also the citywide fitness project. In conclusion, the department just works to improve the interests of the community by making it a better place to live and overseeing, planning, zoning, economic development, housing, etc. I'm more than happy to answer any questions or clarify anything.
Any questions for Stephanie? Thanks, Stephanie. Great report.
Thank you.
Thank you. Chief, anything?
I do not have anything else to answer any questions.
Okay. Council members, Don?
Nothing tonight.
Roberta? Bob?
Nothing tonight.
Wow. I'll just touch on last Thursday, prior to the chamber mixer, my wife and I attended the Alzheimer's experience at Westside Theater, and it was an experience. It was really interesting. Having been through the experience real life with my mom, it was interesting going through it, and I had questions how they came up with some of these things that they did to you to make you to experience Alzheimer's, and what the research, how that developed, and I got a lot of those answers. But they sat you down and then they kind of prepared you, and they put, and I can't remember the terms for the different things that patients feel in the bottom feet. She wore like a spiky thing in your shoe where it poked your feet, and that apparently that's a feeling that Alzheimer's patients feel when they go through that. And I didn't know that, and my wife did, but I didn't. But then they you put on some rubber gloves and some other gloves, and then they put a headset on you, and they push a button, and then you walk through what would be a typical room or household. It was really eye-opening for me, because you had dogs barking in the background, you had sirens going off, you had people talking, you had a constant mumble going on. Then they gave you a set of instructions to accomplish what you think simple tasks were. One of my, they talk so fast, I think I got like 2 out of about 10 things they told me to do. And find a brown pair of pants, put a belt through the belt loops, and tie a tie around your neck, pick the sweater up and put the sweater on, then take the sweater off, hang it on the hanger, and take the toothbrush, put it in the cup, get your pills out of the pill box, and take this pill, do that pill. And it was, I couldn't keep track, and I think I might have early signs of it, I don't know, but it was interesting. And it was a real eye opener. And then after you went through the experience and they sat down and they explained to you the whole process. And my wife and I sat with a family who came from Turlock to go through this because they were just experiencing this with their father. So we sat with them, and then, like I said, having been through it with my mother, it was enlightening, I think, from them to hear from someone who had already been through it, and just basically tell them, well, get prepared because it doesn't get any better. It gets worse, and everything from it's like going full circle. I mean, your parents take care of you, then you take care of your parents, and it's like taking care of a kid at a certain age. But it was a real experience, and they had told me that they had literally hundreds of people go through the whole experience all day long. So it was a real eye-opener, and it was interesting going through that process and experiencing what a Alzheimer's patient and dementia patient goes through. So I just thought I'd mention that it was interesting, and so it was a good program. And with that, if we have nothing further, we will close and adjourn for the evening. Thank you so much.